On my first day in office, I signed an executive order to put California on the path towards creating our own prescription drugs. And now it's happening. California is going to make its own insulin. Nothing epitomizes market failures more than the cost of insulin. Many Americans experience out-of-pocket costs anywhere from $300 to $500 per month for this life-saving drug. California is now taking matters into our own hands. The budget I just signed sets aside $100 million so that we can contract to make our own insulin at a cheaper price, close to at cost, and to make it available to all. $50 million will go towards the development of low-cost insulin products, and an additional $50 million will go towards a California-based insulin manufacturing facility that will provide new, high-paying jobs and a stronger supply chain for the drug. Because in California, we know people should not go into debt to receive life-saving medication.
Let me just say right off the bat that the difference in priorities between Democratic governors and Republican governors in this country could not be more obvious. Republicans are signing laws banning abortions, banning books, banning acknowledging the existence of LGBT people. Meanwhile, Democrats are about to ensure that every Californian has access to the least expensive insulin in the world. But sure, it's the Republicans who have a monopoly on freedom. Got it. And by the way, Americans as a whole support capping the cost of insulin by a staggering net 77-point margin. In fact, Republicans alone support capping the cost of insulin by a net 77-point margin. And this would have been a reality nationwide, but there wasn't a single Republican that supported the Build Back Better Act to turn this into a reality. And before you say, oh, well, capping the cost of insulin was just one piece of Build Back Better, the rest of it was bad, I would just ask you, which part of Build Back Better was actually unpopular? Expanding Medicare to include hearing, which has a net 59% margin of support, long-term care economy investments, which has net 63-point margin of support, housing investments at net 40% support, clean energy jobs at net 34% support, childcare investments at net 35% support, universal pre-K at net 34% support, education subsidies, child tax credit, earned income tax expansion, all with net positive support, increasing capital gains taxes on the wealthy, increasing IRS funding to catch tax cheats, increasing taxes of large corporations, higher income tax on the wealthiest 2%, all of which, again, enjoy monumental support. So when Republican politicians claim that Build Back Better wasn't popular, do they mean among the American people, or do they mean among Republican caucus members who decided they'd rather hurt Americans than risk passing a single piece of legislation that makes Joe Biden look good? Take all the time you need with that one. And that's the federal level. It's just as bad among Republicans at the state level. While any state could have sought to do what California's doing, instead, look at what Florida did. Pass Don't Say Gay laws, targeting LGBT Americans because Republicans rely almost exclusively on vilifying some vulnerable subset of the population. Look at what Texas did, called three special legislative sessions to pass a voter suppression bill, and yet did nothing to deal with a failing power grid even as Texans died without power. Look at what Mississippi did. With the highest infant mortality rate in the world, it was that state's abortion ban that led to the overturning of Roe. Because who else should be dictating reproductive policy than the state that ranks dead last on infant mortality? So if you needed any more proof as to where Republicans' priorities lie, just look at how these Republican-led states are sprinting off the cliffs to the far right. And by the way, this isn't the first time that Newsom has moved to contrast himself with the leaders of Republican-led states. The governor's been especially visible on social media these last few weeks, contrasting red states with California, even going so far as to post on Truth Social.
Hey everybody, it's Governor Gavin Newsom, and we're all on this platform in search for the truth. And the truth is, there's no issue that drives so much of our anxiety more than the issue of jobs and the economy. But it's an interesting fact that GDP growth in California last year outpaced all red states in America. In fact, the fastest growing economies in the United States, top three, are all democratically led states. The question is, what is it about so many of the blue states and their economic success that Republican states are not considering? Hey everybody, it's Governor Gavin Newsom, and I know we're all on this platform in search for the truth. But the truth is, I've not been able to find a simple explanation for the fact that we have a red state murder problem. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest murder rates happen to be red states. So the question is simple. What are the laws and policies in those states that are leading to such carnage? Hey everybody, it's Governor Gavin Newsom, and again, we are all here with one thing in common, and that's the search for the truth. And the truth is, there was an analysis done recently of the 14 states with the highest COVID death rates. And they had one thing in common. They are all led by Republicans. In fact, you compare California, for example, to Florida, 52% higher death rates, COVID death rates in Florida than California. So my question is a simple one. How do we define pro-life?
So while it's looking increasingly obvious that he's trying to raise his national profile, the point remains that the facts are on his side. Red states not only don't have a monopoly on success, they actually trail blue states in this country, and it's long past time that someone started calling that out. So I get that Republicans love to vilify California because it's one of the bluest states in the nation, but this is a state that protects the LGBT community. It's a state that protects its citizens from gun violence with strong common sense gun safety laws. It's a state that protects Americans who want reproductive freedom and autonomy over their own bodies. It's got the biggest economy in the United States. GDP growth in California outpaced every single red state in the country, and California's economy is growing faster than every single red state in the nation. When Republicans whine about California, they're not doing it because they have some legitimate excuse to complain about. They're doing it because they are threatened by the fact that on every metric, from the economy to health outcomes to safety, California outpaces most, if not all, red states in this country. So the next time a Republican governor crows about freedom, the next time a Republican governor crows about being pro-life, the next time a Republican governor crows about family values, point them to California and show them what that actually looks like. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And to support my work beyond that, check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I cover the week's most important stories and interview the biggest players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, and so many more. The link is also right here on this screen. And finally, to take action yourself and sign petitions on the most important issues, go to briantylercohen.com/petition.